There's slugs everywhere.
Okay. You're on. Car.
There we go.
Oh, I'm backwards. Medium?
Oh, yeah, it's what you were on earlier. Oh, yeah, you might have been. Medium's not too bad.
Oh, this one.
How'd those things feel on your feet? He was never seen again. Alright, so real quick, here we are with voiceover with the backpack. So here it is. The board is in the backpack. It is meant for this, to hold the backpack, of course. It's a backpack, but, or to hold the board. It's a backpack, but it's also meant to hold the board. So as you can see, I hooked up as well as I can. These straps here go around these, the trucks here to kind of hold it. And then you got a strap right there to hold it. this thing is a big old patch of Velcro to kind of put some padding on it and whatnot. Another strap, and this one, which I didn't really know what it was for, kind of long, but my dad actually made it longer, and I think he figured out that you actually can put it on the top and put it on like the top nose of the board. So I believe that's supposed to hold the top. So this is the underside, but I didn't put it like that, but it does hang quite far off my back. So I believe if I put it like that, it will hold it a little more snug there and closer to my back. But yeah, I'm assuming that's what that's for. But yeah, it does take some time to hook up. But now I'm just going to go through and show all like the straps. As you can see, it has these things to go around your side and a kind of belly and chest strap, which is really good. Keeps it nice and snug and definitely helps. But yeah, I'm just going to show all the pockets and whatnot while I keep on talking. But yeah, decent amount of padding and whatnot, as I will show. Yeah. But it's a pretty practical backpack as well as it holds the board. But overall, I think it felt really weird with the board on there. It felt kind of like marching drums, but just a little more awkward. Not quite as heavy, of course, but a little more awkward. So yeah, but it's also not super practical. It takes a long time to get it all strapped in and whatnot. I said it feels like you're strapping in a baby to go on a ride in a fighter jet or something. Yeah, it's a lot of strapping in. But it is like a 19-pound board, so yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it. As you can see, it doesn't look too bad when it's all together, even with all those straps. Yeah, overall pretty practical backpack, and I don't know how long they're going to do it, but you can get this free with your order right now, and by itself it's a $50 backpack that you can order on its own. But if you order like a Shark Electric board or a Shark Electric power board, they throw this in for free. You can opt out of it, but I mean, I don't see why not get a free $50 backpack. So yeah. But yeah, overall not too bad. I'm not sure how often I'll use it because I don't usually have it like strapped to my back, and with how bony I am, I'm not sure if I could. It kind of jabs in my tailbone and stuff, and I have it as high up as I can because I'm pretty tall but pretty stick-like. But yeah, not too bad. As you can see, this is it here on me. It looks like I'm wearing a straight up like parachute or something. But as you can see, I got all the straps adjusted. I had to put them like pretty much all of their max tightness, of course, to fit snug around my stick of a figure. Yeah, as you can see, it is hanging kind of far off my back. It's still hanging on and everything, but you can see that strap right there. I believe if I did what my dad said and put it around the nose of it up there, it would hold a little more snug. But as you can see, my little awkward run around the kitchen, it's still there. So yeah, that's the backpack. Not too bad. Pretty cool for a free throw-in. And yeah, it looks like a little baby just being held on my back. And yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Hey guys, welcome back to an episode by BW2, to a pretty special episode, and this is kind of like a video where I would usually film at my little set that I've been recording like unboxing and reviews at, where the camera's like right there or whatever, and I'm sitting in my chair, but this is a little big to fit on, kind of fit in frame, so I'm just kind of going to film this beginning part like this, but it is finally here, my Sharkboard Electric. You guys know I've been getting into e-skating. Last September I finally got enough to get my one-wheel build, which I'm not going to talk about that too much. I wish I could, or you know I usually would, but I've talked about it and whatnot quite a bit. So yeah, if you want to see any one-wheel stuff, I already have multiple videos on it. I might actually even make an e-skating playlist here pretty soon, because I actually have like I think 5 full one-wheel whip videos or so, and I post one-wheel stuff on my Instagram all the time. But I finally got my second e-skating vehicle, the Sharkboard Electric. So yeah, so one thing I will say is when I was a long time ago when I watched like Casey Neistat and stuff, like I always like dreamed of owning a boosted board, but if you guys know, they've kind of had a rocky kind of situation going on with their with their company. So I decided not to get that, and then I went with like the one wheel because it was more practical and whatnot, and you can just do a lot more with a one wheel than you can with an electric longboard. The only thing that the electric longboard has on the one wheel is speed and range, because it can go faster and farther. But the one wheel can go over a lot more. I mean, it's just like a little go-kart tire, pretty much. So it can go over a lot more, and it's a lot more carvy, and yeah, and you can just go. It's mainly just practical because you can go over stuff and turn faster. So it's less like, am I gonna have to get off my board to get over here or whatever. But yeah, so here it is. So most of this video is gonna be like clips and whatnot, but I'm just gonna show it real quick here. So yeah, so here it is right here. And I think I'm going to keep it right here, but this is heavier and bigger. But this is, of course, my last longboard that I got a long time ago. I got from like this old like movie and other media store that shut down a while ago now, that we used to love going to, called Hastings. But this was literally like when we first got into longboarding. My big brother rode one of my old neighbors, and then he wanted one, so he got one, and then from Hastings as well, and then I got one after I rode my big brother's and decided I kind of liked it, and I got that. I used to ride a lot, but then we had the easy rollers, and then we kind of just rode those, which if you can also see a lot of us, or a lot of riding our easy rollers on the channel, because we also used to ride those a lot. But then I didn't really ride either my easy roller or my longboard for a while. And then I got into longboarding, or one-wheeling. So yeah, so that's my last longboard. This was literally like $110. So the wheels, like, they really don't spin for that long at all. As you can see right here, like, that wasn't like a full spin, but even then, it's like, see, they don't really spin that long. Yeah, even still has a price tag right there. But yeah, so that is that, and I did a custom spray paint job, which is okay. Yeah, this is the new one. So yeah, so my one wheel, of course, was $950, and then with all my accessories and whatnot, I'm still waiting on a carbon fiber fender, which I will be making another video on that. But yeah, all my accessories, everything I got for it, my whole build, like every one wheel thing I've ever bought, adds up to about around $1,300 or so. But this, I just bought the board, which actually came with a free board backpack, which I will show. I actually already filmed the clip and whatnot, so I'll include that. But I included that for free, which usually it's $50, so that's nice. That came with that for free. And then just came with like the base charger, which I believe this actually takes 4 hours to charge, which is another downside, but at the same time it goes a lot further. So the specs on this is the max speed. I'm not sure exactly what they say, but what I've heard from other people and what I've kind of seen so far, the max speed is about 25 miles an hour, and the max range is about like 19 or 20 miles or so, which the one wheel, the max speed is 60 miles an hour, and they say the max speed is like 8 to 9 miles on my paint, but I've actually gotten a ride. It depends on the weather, really. The temperature affects the one wheel a lot. Because when it was really warm, I actually got an 18-mile ride out of it, and I still had 30-something% left. But I've also, like when it was really cold, I've also gotten as little as like 6 miles. So yeah, but I would say on average it's about 12 or 13 miles, so it's not too much less. But yeah, so if you guys don't know what shark wheel are, I've actually been wanting them for I actually wanted them on my longboard a while ago. They've been around for a while. Yeah. I was thinking like maybe I can get an electric longboard and then put shark wheels on them. But then I figured out that Shark Wheel makes one. It's actually in a collaboration with Team G, which is another brand. That's one negative review I've kind of heard about them, is these are like the same things as the Team G boards, but these are more expensive. But from what I saw, the reason I got this one is because they already had shark wheels on them, and they had better specs than the Team G ones. But now that I'm seeing the specs in person, the specs kind of seem the same, so it might just be more expensive in the same specs, which is kind of scummy, but you know. So basically, shark wheels, a lot of people say they look square, but they're not square. They're actually this design, I can't remember what it's called, but it's actually kind of like a wavy circle, and there's like 3 of them. There's not actually 3 of them, but this wavy circle design that he had, and he actually got the idea because like a shark mandible, or whatever you want to call it, kind kind of has this design if you look at it from this side. And he turned that into a wheel, and it was actually on a Shark Tank and everything, and that's why they're called the Shark Wheel. Not because of Shark Tank, but because they're like a shark mandible. But yeah, they spin for a long time. These bearings are actually I'm not sure if they're the highest bearings they make nowadays for like boards and wheels and stuff. But I don't know if you can see that in there. It says that they're actually APEC 9, which is a lot higher than I thought, because I used to think like for like fidget spinners back in the day, a few years ago, most of those were like APEC 5 and whatnot, and I thought that was high. So APEC 9 is pretty good, and I'm not going to show it right here, but I spun it, and it spun for like 3 or 4 minutes. Like, it goes and goes and goes. So yeah, and I didn't even do anything. This is just out of the box. Yeah, so that is the grip tape right there. Nice fresh grip tape. There is some grime on it from standing on it, of course. But yeah, pretty cool design right there. And then the bottom right here, that sounds great, is right there. A lot of people don't like the design. I'm actually a pretty big fan of it. Of course, my main kind of color palette is cyan and black. So yeah, so this actually matches my one wheel quite a bit as well. But yeah, so that is a Shark Current Power with the electricity. So there's another one you can get for about $100 cheaper, which is just the regular Shark Power, which it doesn't have, or not Shark Power. This is the Shark Electric Power. The other one's just like the Shark Electric, but the other one just doesn't have this whole box. It's just this part, which I'm still not exactly sure what this is. I'm pretty sure it's an extended battery. I just don't see why, if it's an extended battery, why it's so huge. Because the battery, because I'm pretty sure it only gets like a few miles more than the other one, but yet the other one just has that. So I don't know if this is just for a few more miles, because if it's for a few more miles, I probably just would have got the other one, because this is pretty huge and probably adds quite a bit of the weight. But yeah, some other real quick things. This is really nice. Hardcore metal. I'm not sure exactly what metal, but it's definitely, that feels like it could take a beating. And then yeah, you can see the back motor, or the back tires or wheels. Used to talk about one wheel. They actually have the motors in them. It's not a band motor, so there's no exposed bands or anything, which I prefer to see. Boosted boards, the first generation whatnot, had the bands and they could slip off and cause danger. But yeah, these ones do not. So you can see these ones are different. They're more like regular longboard wheels, but they still do have the groove, the kind of grooves cut out of them there. So yeah, so they still help a little bit, but yeah, these ones are like completely different. And yeah, you can see they look pretty cool when they're spinning like that. Yeah, you can see that wasn't even like a full spin, and that'll just go and go and go. So yeah, so that's pretty darn good. The trucks are really nice. It's like that same metal, but yeah, really good. And yeah, and they're not too bad to like right out of the box. You can see it doesn't like wiggle or anything too much. And yeah, not too bad. And then these ones actually have that in the center. And they kind of have like a bumpy turn. And you can see they actually have the feature where you can, if you heard that, actually powered it on. You can power it on by your hand, because this is the power button right here. You can hear a little beep and it turns red. You can turn it on like that, or turn it off. Or you can actually turn it on by pushing it. So like, say you're standing on it and you give it a little push, then it turns itself on, which is kind of cool. And then the charging port, which is right there. And yeah, it's kind of like the one-wheel one, although for the pint, I believe the XR has 3 pegs or sticks or whatever you want to call them, but the pint only has 2. This has 3, so it's kind of like the same charger. I don't think you could use the XR charger on this, but I'm not sure. I don't have an XR, so yeah. But that's pretty much it. The only other thing is, of course, companies always have to slap annoying stickers on everything, which there was one right there, which I took off. There's always sticker residue on everything, which usually I can get off with some lemon oil or lime oil or whatever, Goo Gone. But this one, I literally touched it, started rubbing it, and instantly the paper towel was like black. So it, as you can see, it did start kind of taking some paint off right away. So yeah, I just left it like that. It's not too sticky, but it's not such a big deal. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And the only other few things I want to talk about is the weight of this thing is 19 pounds overall. The one wheel is, I believe, 27 pounds or something like that. But yeah, I've carried the one wheel a lot. I ride it like everywhere, so I've carried it around like while I'm shopping and whatnot at like Target for something. And yeah, it's not too bad. After a little bit it will get pretty bad, but yeah, it's got the mag handle. Of course you can carry it like a suitcase. It's just kind of weird because the tire kind of is on your side weirdly. But yeah, this is only 19 pounds, but I of course kind of pick it up like a regular longboard, and I'll kind of try to hold it like that, like I usually would. Hopefully you can see that all good. Yeah, so it makes it feel kind of heavier. I'm pretty sure it's just because it's kind of awkward. But yeah, I think it kind of feels heavier than it is. Because to me it doesn't feel much lighter than the one wheel, even though it's like almost 10 pounds lighter than the one wheel. But yeah, definitely feels weird lifting that after my one wheel or this, because that it just feels like a little plank of wood compared to these two. But yeah, overall now I will show all the clips and whatnot. So you can see that, including my very first ride. But also my dad on my one wheel a while ago, he hopped on it in the grass, and I was kind of holding his shoulder, and he was just like wiggling, and he couldn't even really get going, so he was like not on the one wheel. But this, he was actually riding around, and I know he used to like rollerblade and whatnot a while ago, but I never thought that I would like see him on a longboard or anything. But yeah, he was riding on he was riding on it a little bit, and then a little later I want to get some clips, and he rode on it a little bit more, and he was like almost riding around our whole block, and yeah, so that was pretty cool. So yeah, so sorry if my voice is still weird. If you saw the Twin Pilots unboxing thing, I'm still getting over a pretty bad cold. So yeah, yeah, so some last things I want to say is this was a lot harder to get used to than I thought, because I used to be on my longboard, and then I thought I'd be fine on my one wheel, but when I was learning my one wheel, I could not stay stable or anything, and I didn't know if I was going to be able to learn my one wheel, but of course I got it down, and I've become so comfortable. I just say like I'm standing at 13 miles an hour, because that's what speed I usually ride at, somewhere around there. And yeah, I've like, while riding my one wheel, I'm so comfortable, like I'll just kind of stand there and go, and I've literally like eaten while riding, drank while riding, and of course you see my videos, I'm always like filming while riding, and I'll literally like crouch down and film and whatnot. So yeah, so fully comfortable on the one wheel at this point, and I go up and down curbs and everything. But then I hop back onto this, and I was having so much trouble on it, and you definitely have to adjust the settings. So yeah, definitely, if for anybody, like, because I saw one comment on another video about this board, about this guy talking about he's a one-wheel rider, and he was asking like any suggestions for people who ride one wheel and then ride the board, and I was just telling him it's like very, very different, and yeah. And one thing I was kind of scared about is getting used to one thing and then not being able to ride the other thing, which was kind of weird, because eventually, because I was having big trouble with this, and I was like, it could not go that fast, and then like if I used the brakes at all, like no matter what, it was throwing me off, and it was just way too torquey, and yeah. But the other thing is, with the wheels and everything, you can feel like every grain, so it like vibrates your feet, so they like start going numb. But the one wheel, it's a tire, like it's so smooth, and there's like no friction, and it's just so nice. But yeah, this one is definitely not like that. But the other thing is the one wheel, it's a rounded tire. You can curve, and I mean, I can do a 360 turn on a sidewalk, but this, it takes me almost a street width to turn around. So yeah, after I got used to this, later tonight when I started riding again, and my dad actually figured out how to change the brake sensitivity. I couldn't figure it out. I finally learned how to ride it a lot more, and I actually, you'll see in the clips I was like riding down the street. I had my dad record that a little bit, but then after that we actually went on a little walk, and we rode around like our whole neighborhood, I rode around the whole neighborhood, and while my dad was walking with my dog, and so yeah, so I did really get used to it pretty much. But I'm still definitely getting it down. I think the fastest I went on it so far was like 13 or 14 miles an hour, which is still pretty good because I mean that's like max one wheel speed. So yeah, but again, it goes up to like 25 miles an hour. I felt pretty much fine going like 14 miles an hour, so I can't imagine going 25 miles an hour on a longboard so far. So I don't know if I will, but there'll be an update in the future if I do. But after that, after I was used to it, because I'm not, again, I'm very light and whatnot, so turning, as you can see there, it's not too bad. This is base out of the box, but yeah, as you can see, that's of course how you turn a longboard. Yeah, so as you can see, it's not too bad, but while you're riding, there's a little bit more friction, so I usually ride right about like there with my feet. So yeah, I really gotta like dig my toes into while I'm riding. It's not too bad right now, but while I'm riding, I really gotta like dig my toes and just really try to turn. But on my one wheel, it's like so easy. I just like gotta go that, and I can just wobble and turn wherever. So yeah, so it's definitely a lot different turning. So then after I got done riding this for the night, I just hopped back on my one wheel to see if it was all good, and all of a sudden I was like having trouble stabilizing my one wheel, and like I was all wobbly and whatnot, and yeah, I felt weird on my one wheel, and it felt, of course, it felt super smooth, but yeah, it was really weird. So I'm hoping I can like master both of them and just be able to hop on either and ride, because I'm really hoping I don't master one and then just like not able to ride the other one, and vice versa, because overall, as you have seen from past videos and right now, the one wheel has been and always will be my main, but this is just for, I mainly got this for like speed and range, but my one wheel is still definitely the king. Yeah, yeah, that will be an update in the future, but I'm really hoping, as of right now, I'm still not going to be riding this to and from work. I still gotta, of course, get more used to it, and get better at turning and whatever else. I'll still be riding my one wheel, but hopefully, again, once I can master both of them, I will be able to just kind of choose and ride whichever to work on whatever day, because I usually ride to work, and then I'll ride home for lunch, ride back, and then ride back at the end of the day, because I just love riding so much. Of course, when we have nice weather once in a while. Yeah, luckily it's heading into summer, so hopefully we'll get that. It's still snowing every once in a while, or late June, or late May right now. Yeah, so that's that. So the only other thing is the controller or the power box right here, or the charger, is right here. Of course, it looks a lot like the one wheel one, another power brick. Pretty decently sized. That's the little light indicator. It's red when it's charging, green when it's done. And then the little plug-in looks a lot like the one wheel one, of course, like I was saying, but it's got the 3 prongs right there. The one wheel one, of course, I have a smaller one, which is in a box in my closet because I don't use it, because it's the regular charger, which takes about 2 hours. I, of course, got the supercharger, which was $110, which is a lot for a charger. But it charges in 50 minutes. So yeah, so of course it's a lot nicer looking, and it's actually branded, and yeah, but it is, I believe, a little bit bigger, maybe. Not really, which is surprising since it takes 50 minutes and that takes 4 hours. But yeah, you can see this one's pretty much the same, but it has only the 2 prongs there. But this one is also definitely heavier. So yeah, but the only other thing is the controller here, which is nicer than I thought. It's actually like, I don't know what to call it. It's that soft plastic finish, but yeah. I actually use my right hand. I can use my left hand too at this point, because I'm not usually ambidextrous with stuff. But yeah, so that's the controller right there. Again, it's like the nice pistol grip. You can hold it like that, although I prefer to hold it like that. Charges USB Type-C, luckily. I think most companies have gotten past micro USB finally, which is great. Yeah, the one only other thing that I have is the instruction booklet is pretty darn bad, because it like pretty much doesn't tell you how to use anything. I had to search up videos, and even on Shark Wheel's official videos, they don't really show much. So again, like I was saying earlier, I didn't know how to change the brake torque, or the brake sensitivity, which is pretty much like I could not ride it with the brake sensitivity that it came with. But once we adjusted it, then I had a lot easier of a time. So I feel like that's kind of important to know. Yeah, so right here you got those 3 buttons right there. Then you have this little switch right there, and then the dial right there. So turning it on, you got that, and it actually has a rumbler in it, so it actually vibrates when you like turn it on and off, and then when you like switch different things. I don't know if you can hear that at all, but yeah, it actually vibrates a little bit. So if I can focus on that a little bit, hopefully you can see it well enough. So yeah, so you got the I don't know if you can like really read it that well, but that is the controller battery power. That's the board battery charger, or battery power, which you can see it says it's empty, but that's just because it's off. But when I turn it on, it's fully charged, so it'll be full, except for I've ridden it a little bit. So yeah, and it actually shuts off after a little bit by itself. Yeah, and then you got FW for forward, and then back. Forward it vibrates once, and then backwards it vibrates twice. But yeah, I'll say like BW for backwards, and then FW for forwards. And then you got the Odo for odometer, and then miles. So you got your like current mileage, and then your odometer for overall mileage on the board, which is nice because I didn't think it would have that, because since it doesn't have an app. The One Wheel has an app to see all these settings, as well as an odometer, because I have like just under 300 miles on my One Wheel. Again, talking about how comfortable I am on my One Wheel. My voice is absolutely demolishing right now. Yeah, I didn't think it would actually have an odometer, which that's very nice that it does. So yeah. And then you got the current miles power you're doing right there, and then the max and everything. But yeah, so then you got your different speeds, which you click this. As you can see, I have it on medium, but there's also H for like high, and then H plus, which is plus for racing. Right? They call it the racing mode. So that's low, so that can go up to like 8 miles an hour, I believe, and then like 11 miles an hour. And high is what I've maxed out so far. So far the max speed I've gotten is like with the thing fully up on high. So top speed I've went is like 11 or 13 miles an hour so far. Yeah, and then or no, I maxed out medium, because yeah, there's low and then medium. So I maxed out medium. But then yeah, the next ones is high and high plus. So yeah. But that's that, and then you also got the B and then a number for brake modes, which how you do that, because I could not find any videos that did it until my dad found it, and my dad actually found it on a video for a, I can't remember what board it was called. It was a different longboard, but electric longboard, but they have like the same controller. But how you do that is, since you can change the speed settings by doing that, by pushing that button, I was just like, how do you do anything else? Because the only other ones you can do is push both these buttons down at the same time, the cog and that, which you have the settings, which you can do the speed sensitivity, which I haven't noticed really what that does, but it's 50, and then unit, which is miles per hour, because I'm American, so it originally comes as kilometers, so it'll be like kilometers an hour and whatnot. But how you do it is, how you do the brake sensitivities, you actually pull this fully back, because that is brake. So to go forward, it's actually like that, and then brake is back. And then if you're wondering forward and reverse, it's in forward right now, and then if you want to go reverse, you just flip it like that, like I was saying. So yeah, so it's kind of like a car, you actually got to put it in reverse there. So then you'll just do the same thing, but now in reverse. Yeah, so what you do is you actually put it fully back so it's in brake, and then you push, I don't know if I can do this with one hand, there we go. So yeah, so you put it fully back so it's in brake. Now, as you can see, I'm actually switching the B number, so that's how you do the brake sensitivity, which is really nice. So I just keep it on 1 right now, because I'm still getting used to the brakes, like I said. But but I will work up to it because as of right now, I can still stop pretty quickly, but it still takes a few feet. But the one wheel, like, I can literally, as they say, stop on a dime. Like, I can literally just, like, lean back. I have, like, the simple stop, so I can just, like, lean back and stop real quick. Like, I can be going, like, max speed and then just, like, and you can hear the motor, like, power down, just, like, go to a stop. So, yeah. There we go. But yeah, as of right now, this one I kind of like stop, but how I've noticed it's a lot easier to stop is you kind of like put most of your weight on your back leg, and then you just kind of like dig into the board with your front toes there, and so yeah, so it kind of goes stop. But it feels weird just like kind of standing here now because I'm used to stopping on there, and I just kind of like feel wobbly just regular standing because you get used to that. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I think that's pretty much everything I needed to talk about. So yeah, so this is it for pretty much like the main review part of it. But now you can see the clips, unless you just skip to them. But I will put time codes just in case if you don't care about this part and just want to see some clips. But this will be of course included in future videos. Of course, I don't think as much as my one wheel, but yeah, I will feature both these. I will probably make an e-skating playlist because I definitely really like. But yeah, so one more thing is to show you like the power of the board just right here. It actually, on the max power, it's pretty scary, and it actually like shakes the upstairs floor a little bit, and my dad was kind of terrified about it, and he's just like, oh my goodness, Brennan. But yeah, so powering it on, and show you the little different speeds. So this is low. I better turn the board on first. So yeah, so this is low. And then you can also see the speeds on there. So low is 4 miles an hour max, and then you can go to the next one, medium. So this is the one that I so far this is the fastest I've gone. Oh, okay, so about 8 miles an hour. It feels a lot faster, but yeah, so that's that. So the fastest I've gone is about 8 miles an hour. And of course, as you can see, I've actually ridden 1 mile so far. So yeah, so I've ridden 1 mile on this and like just under 300 on my one wheel. So yeah, so the next one is high right here. So yeah, getting pretty scary. As you can see, it's actually moving the front wheels up there. 20 miles an hour, that's a big jump. And then H+. Very scary. I don't know, it only says 20 miles an hour right now for some reason, but usually when it's at top it goes up to about 25 miles an hour. Yeah, I just can't get it up to that for some reason, so it might not be fully accurate right now, but yeah, but because usually when I have it just sitting there and I go up to max, I can get up to 25 miles an hour. But not right now for some reason. Yeah. So I think that's pretty much all I had to talk about. So I know this is gonna be a really long video, but I'm pretty the video where I first ever kind of gave my overview and cinematics for the one wheel was like 40 minutes or so. But this one might be a little longer. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think that's about all I have to say for it right now. So now we're going to get into clips of me and my dad riding, and yeah, and also me sitting on it, because of course I used to ride that longboard around sitting on it all the time. So now that I have an electric one, I can make it ride by itself or with me sitting on it, and it's really, really fun. And I feel like a bobsled rider, especially going super fast. But you definitely, the only other thing is I definitely like on regular longboards when you get going really fast, speed wobbles there. But so far, standing up, I haven't got any speed wobble on this so far. But sitting down, there was some speed wobble. But that's because you're pretty much, there's not as much control there. But yeah, it is very fun. And I was riding on H+. Not full miles, but sitting down, I did get up to, I believe, about 16 or 17 miles an hour, I believe it said. But yeah. So that is it for that. So once again, you'll probably see this in the future. Again, follow me on Instagram, links down in the description, to see tons more one wheel and sharkboard content. when I'm not making videos here on the channel for it. So yeah, so enjoy these clips. If you watched through this part, thank you so much for giving me some more watch time here on the channel. But yeah, please enjoy the next part of the video, and I'll see you all later with the next video. Yeah, bye. Alright, so voiceover Brennan back at it again. So I know in that last clip I just said I was going to end off the video with all of the clips of like the backpack and us riding and whatnot, but I figured if I just put them at the beginning and then did all this talking and whatnot, it would probably increase watch time and get people more into the video rather than just being introduced to my face talking. They'd be introduced to some slugs and then some riding. Yeah, so I'm just going to end off the video here, but I forgot to say one thing. So I forgot to mention the shipping. I'm sure it's getting better now, but I actually ordered it in very early April, and it said that it was going to start shipping out on April 20th because it was actually counted as a pre-order. But it reached April 20th. There's a couple days, and I saw some people asking like on Facebook and Instagram, and they said that they were waiting for the wheels to arrive, and they're at customs or whatever, which was 40 minutes away from their office in California. I can't remember what city or whatever. But then for whatever reason, that took about another week before they started shipping out, so I don't know why it took a week to get through customs. Yeah. And then once they finally got the wheels, it was another week or two before they said that they shipped out my board. And by that, they meant they created the label, and then it sat there for about another week. And apparently it took them a week to put the label on the box and get it shipped out, because then a week later I got an email saying that it actually got shipped and it's actually on the way. And then it took exactly 10 or 11 days from them to arrive, because I ordered it like April 7th or something like that, and I ended up getting it today, which for me today is May 26th. So yeah, hopefully like the shipping now, if you order it, since it's not pre-order anymore, you just get it like regular shipping. Because the shipping is about $35. So overall for me it was like 730 something bucks. But that was a pre-order price, so it was like $699 plus shipping. But now it actually went back up to $800, and then the MSRP is actually $1,500, which I wouldn't pay any more than $800. I mean, I think it's worth it for all the stuff in it and whatnot. But I already have a one wheel, and that whole build was like $1,300 or whatever, and yeah, I don't really want to spend too much more money on even more little electric vehicles, because at some point I might just want to spend that money on a car. But for now I'm good with my little electric vehicles. But yeah, so I just want to talk about the shipping a little bit, and I think I pretty much mentioned everything in this video. And there was a little blurb earlier about the shark wheels, how they can go over curbs, or how the board can go over curbs, and I saw like a video where he's on a BMX trail and it can go over some gravel and like through alleyways and stuff. So going on from that, if you guys don't know what shark wheel are, I explained it more earlier in the video, but they actually have that wavy design to not only, of course, dodge like pebbles and whatnot, because there were a couple times on my regular longboard where I would hit a pebble and it would do that like thing where it just makes that buzzing, like the ooh sound, and it just stops you dead in your tracks. And yeah, I've never been going so fast where it just throws me, but that's why I've always kind of been scared about an electric longboard versus a one wheel, is because I don't want to be going 15 miles an hour or so and then just get stopped dead in my tracks. So yeah, but the shark wheels are supposed to be able to avoid that a little bit more. I've also noticed that they are a little bit more grippy, and as you could hear and whatnot, you could hear the motor, but also the shark wheels are, I would say, a little bit louder than regular wheels, but not by much. But yeah, but they also are known that, I mean, they can go through gravel a lot easier, sand and whatever else, and overall they're just like, it's basically a cross between a regular longboard wheel and like one of those off-road longboards with like the shocks and the actual like tires, not wheels. They're like actual like little tiny tires. That they're really expensive. They're really cool longboards, but they're like complete Baja boards. But it's kind of like a cross in between those. So it's like off-road, but not completely Baja board. But yeah, so that's, you can search up more on shark wheel if you want. But that's pretty much all So yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see y'all later. Bye!